So by really addressing this issue in a scientific, apolitical way, coming up at the end of the day with the bodies and the names and the identities of these people, then in a way then you open a path towards reconciliation.
The United Nations recently resorted to other ways of pressurizing Serbs to hand over suspected war criminals. Previously unseen footage of Bosnian Muslims being executed by a notorious Serbian paramilitary unit known as the Scorpions was released and broadcast around the world. These shocking images were also shown in The Hague at the International Tribunal for War Crimes in the former Yugoslavia, where it was submitted as possible evidence against former Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic.
Two remaining not shot are untied. I needn't go into the detail. They move the four bodies, and then they are themselves shot. And I'll leave it there.
Of course, he was shown to Milosevic because he was in court. As I saw, it was no reaction from his part. The day after or 2 days after, he contested the veracity of this video, but we are now presenting all the evidences we have about the authenticity of this video.
The video had an immediate political impact. In Serbia, the president, Boris Tadic, went on television to apologize to the people of Srebrenica publicly and announce his plans to attend the 10th memorial service in Potocari.
Those pictures are the proof of the monstrous crimes performed during the war in that region, committed in our name.
But for one Bosnian family, the footage came as a complete shock.
The last two that remained were my son and another boy. His hands were tied behind his back. First they killed the guy in front of my son, and then they shot him once and a second time, and then I start screaming, "My son, they are killing you!" But there was nobody there. I saw the video the same night, before my mother, but I couldn't tell her. I left her to see it with her own eyes, and she went to her room and watched it. She called me, but I pretended not to hear.
Serbs in Srebrenica, who say they were victims of earlier atrocities by Muslims, also saw the Scorpion footage. Mirko Sekulic, who has lived in the town most of his life, was watching television the night it was broadcast.
I can understand if two armies are shooting each other on the front line and on either side you have army killings. This is something different. But civilians, women and children, I cannot accept. For those people, prison isn't an option. There must be something else. All this talk about Karadzic and Mladic creates a lot of tension among the people here. Get rid of them. Take them off television. If you can't find them, don't pressurize us. Don't blame us. And leave us alone.
How many times has NATO made serious attempts and organized attempts, operations to catch Radovan Karadzic and Ratko Mladic? Countless numbers of times. How many times have the local authority made those attempts? None. Who's trying and who's not? How much cooperation has NATO got for catching war criminals from the local authorities here, particularly in Republika Srpska? None. So where would you put the blame? I ask you the question. I think the answer is pretty self-evident.
That statement is not true anymore, and I think that all international parties would agree. As we speak, we are already working to resolve this problem and capture the war criminals. In December last year, there were 18 war criminals still at large. But now, at the end of June, beginning of July, there are a total of 6 missing. So, in the past 6 months, 2/3 of the suspects within the Republika Srpska were transferred to The Hague.
U pola godine 2/3 osoba koje su vezane za Republiku Srpsku su se našle u Hagu.
So after 10 years, why have they been handed over now?
Ova zemlja
This country and the others in the region, particularly the Western Balkans, must join the European Union at some point, for the benefit of the country itself and the European Union. And it would be equally mutually beneficial if the countries join NATO, both for the countries and NATO.